Hey y'all, so today I'm going to talk about the top things I wish I knew before relocating to Rio, because I just had no clue about these things and I just wish somebody told me. So I made this video just for us. Hey y'all, welcome back and thank you for vibrating higher with me and really empowering yourself to live your best life. That's what this channel is all about. This is what this video is going to be all about, and I'll explain more in a little bit. Before we get started, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps with the algorithm and it'll help bring more and more people vibrating at a higher frequency, which is what I'm here for. It's what I'm here to do, and hopefully that's why you're here. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I really wanted to make this video about the top things that you need to know before relocating to Brazil, because I did relocate to Brazil, okay? But it definitely wasn't as smooth as when I relocated to other places like Bali or Mexico or even Colombia. It just was not as smooth. I really wanted to make this video so that I can help other people who would like to relocate here or even just come here as a tourist and visit, just to let them know what to expect and how to really navigate and get around Brazil or Rio or Salvador or whatever part of Brazil you're going to visit, except for maybe the Amazon. I haven't been there yet, and I feel like that's gonna definitely be another video, especially based off my experience when I visited the Amazon from Colombia. It's a whole nother world, okay? So one of my friends, they told me that, Brazil is basically one big country with a bunch of small countries in it. So really, this video is gonna really help you with the coastal part of Brazil, and yeah. Let's get started. The first one is how to get a SIM card. So when I'm at any other foreign country, the first thing I do, especially as a solo traveler, is I get a SIM card, because there are some cell services in the States that do have international plans, but usually the amount of gigabytes you have for your phone are limited to 5, and then after that they charge you more, or the service isn't that good. So for example, when I was on AT&T in Colombia, they had it, but I could barely send out a text message or even barely use Instagram. So it really wasn't that good. So whenever I go to a different country, I always just automatically get a new SIM card. But here it's a little bit different. So normally it's really easy to just go and buy a SIM card, but here you can buy a SIM card, but you need a CPF, and a CPF is basically an identification number that everybody in Brazil has. Everybody who immigrates or relocates here, they all have a CPF number, and this number is their tax identification number. And really with this number, once you get it, you can work here, you can get a loan, or you can buy a car if you wanted to. It's really good for people who want to live here long term, but I would even recommend, if you're going to be here short term too, I would definitely get a CPF, just so it'll make your trip a lot smoother. So yeah, so the first thing is the SIM card, and to get a SIM card you have to get the CPF. And I'm gonna get into the CPF after this next important thing. So the next thing that I think you absolutely need to have when you're here is this app called PixPay. This is what everybody uses to pay for things. They do have card readers everywhere. I think almost every vendor, even the street vendors, have card readers, but sometimes your card won't work, and sometimes they might be a little bit sketchy. So the safest way to do it is through PixPay. But to use this app, you have to have a CPF. And on top of that, you have to have a Brazilian phone number. It's a lot, I know, but just bear with me. So the third thing you absolutely need to know before you come to Brazil is you need to have a CPF number. Now there's two ways to do this. You can do this, I think a week or 2 weeks before your trip. You can apply for one in the States by contacting the Brazilian consulate in the States. I think there's one in Boston, and you can do it that way. Or you can do it when you arrive, and there's multiple ways to do it when you arrive here. One way to do it is through the online form, but honestly, when I tried to do it, it didn't work, and I think I didn't fill the form correctly either. So that was one thing. So I didn't really like doing it online because, well, I mean, I didn't get a CPF at the end of it. So the best way I think to do it is to just go to the consulate office in, well, I don't know about Salvador, but in Rio, you go to this building and you ask for a CPF there. And it's really easy. They have a person there who speaks English, and you fill out a form, and then within 5 days, they make their CPF. They say they email it to you though, and honestly, I never got an email for them, so I had to go back to the place to get my CPF. But really, like, when I went there the first time, it took a total of 10 minutes for me to fill out the form. And then when I went back, it took like 5 minutes for them to get me my CPF card. So it's really easy. The only thing is that it is a trek to go back and forth, but it's worth it at the end of the day because it'll make the rest of your trip so much more smoother. Now, like I said, it does take 5 days. The other way you can do it is go to any post office, and they also have the form there. But I think at the building is probably gonna be the fastest way, going to the main government building. So my fourth thing is, don't look like a tourist or you're gonna be targeted. This is something that I've noticed walking around Rio especially. Like, it's so easy to tell who's a tourist and who's not a tourist. And this is based off of simply what they wear. Like, before they even open their mouth, I can automatically tell if they're a tourist or not. So my first tip is, don't wear any Apple products when you are out. Point blank, period. I'm talking your watch, your AirPods, your phones. If you're in these areas and you know you're gonna be in these areas, do not take your Apple Watch. If you're going to go to big crowds, this is like the ultimate target, especially if you're here during New Year's Eve or Carnival. Don't go to these like events with your Apple Watch, with your, you know, your headphones, with your wallet in your pocket. Like, you can't do that here. You're gonna be such an easy target for pickpocketing, and you're not gonna have the best time ever either. As for your iPhone, what I usually do is I'll look around me and I'll see if I can see any iPhones. If, like, for example, when I'm on the metro. So I'll look around and I'll see if I see any iPhones. If I don't see a single iPhone, I'm not taking my phone out. Because again, you're making yourself into a target. Now, if I see like 4 or 5 iPhones and they're like part of the newer generations, then I'll take my phone out. But you gotta be really cautious with that, because I'm telling you, like, people know when a phone is not a Samsung or like a cheaper phone, and they will stare at you and you will get followed. So be really aware of that. It's so important. So when you're walking on the street too, not just in the metro, but in the street, you don't want to take out your iPhone. What a lot of people do, if you do have a nicer phone or a newer phone, is they'll go into a building or into a plaza or a shop, and then they'll check their phone real quick, answer your little Instagram text, put it back in your wallet or bag or fanny pack, whatever you choose to use. Again, men, I highly recommend that you don't use your pocket as your main, you know, like, get a fanny pack or something, because it's just such an easy target for pickpocketing. It really is. My other big tip that you absolutely need to know before you come here is know which neighborhoods to book your hotels at and which neighborhoods to not book your hotels at. This is so important, because I honestly made the mistake of getting a hotel like an hour outside of downtown area, and it was just not the place to go. So here are like my 3 top recommended neighborhoods to stay at if you decide to come to Rio. Number 1 is Ipanema. Yeah, I think I said that right. Number 1 is Ipanema. Ipanema is nice because it's a huge touristy area. It's really beautiful. You have really close access to the beach no matter where you're staying at in this area, because the beach is literally within 5 blocks of any of the towers here. You have access to really good food. I wouldn't say the most like authentic Brazilian food, but you definitely have access to amazing, delicious food. And it's just a really good place. It's along the metro line too, so it's easy to get in and out of this neighborhood. That would be like my number 1 recommendation for tourists or foreigners. My second recommendation is Barra de Tijuca. I'm just gonna put the name here. This is my second number 1 recommendation, but this is very different. It has a very different vibe. It's more suburban. I mean, they have like big towers. It's not as localized as Ipanema, but it's so quiet and peaceful. And if you're looking for a spot to just really chill and still have some parties and go to the beach and enjoy the quietness and just like less crowded beaches, that is where I would recommend to go. It's just a lot more peaceful. It has a different vibe to it. It's more residential, definitely a lot more safer than I feel like Ipanema. And Ipanema is still pretty safe, but there is definitely a lot more safer because it's more residential people. One of my friends was telling me that that's where like millionaires and billionaires live, so it's definitely a lot safer to be there. I would argue it's about the same price as Ipanema, but you kind of, in my opinion, you get a bigger bang for your buck there because you'll stay in like towers or hotels with an amazing view of the beach, which is something that you just don't get here in Ipanema. Neighborhood is Flamengo. Flamengo's a little bit away from Ipanema, but it's right between Ipanema and the Central. So it's a really good location. They have more local food. They actually have my favorite place to get acai bowls, which I will link somewhere around here. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. The beach is okay, really. I mean, that area, I wouldn't really go to that beach. So really the best beaches are going to be Ipanema and Baja de Tijuca. The Baja Tijuca, in my opinion, has the best beaches because it's so clean and the breeze is always flowing, so you never get too hot. Like that really is, like, for me, the ideal place to stay. So those are my 3 number 1 neighborhoods. The next tip is transportation apps. The best transportation apps that I use are 99 and Uber. 99 is just a cheaper version of Uber. Uber, I feel like, is a little bit more safe and less janky too. Some of the cars on 99, I'm like, is this okay to drive in? I think we're missing a tire or something, you know? So they're definitely more janky, but it's cheaper. And if you're going like short distances, I would do 99. Longer distances, I would do an Uber or Uber Comfort or Plus. I would not take a motorbike here. There's other countries I would definitely recommend to take motorbikes to go from A to B. Here is not one of them. You don't see a lot of motorbikes on the road. You mostly see cars, so I just think it's more car friendly here than motorbikes, so I would not recommend taking a motorbike. It is an option on 99, but again, it's not my recommendation. Okay, the next one is the beaches. Make sure not to leave any bags unattended at the beach. One thing that I do if I go to the beach by myself is I try to find either another person who's there by themselves or a family or just somebody who I know I can trust to watch my stuff. Now, when I go to the beach, I usually don't even bring my camera or my phone with me. I usually leave it at home because I just don't want anybody to take my stuff. If they take like $10 that I have in my wallet, fine, that's fine. I really don't care. But my phone, it's a different story, okay? So really, if I'm going to the beach by myself, I would not bring my phone. Now, if you're going with a group, you're pretty good to go. Just make sure somebody always has an eye on your stuff. And I mean, they are with the stuff on the beach while everybody else is swimming. Like, just figure out shifts or something because you do not want to be that person who has their stuff jacked from them because y'all weren't paying attention. Just forewarning. The next one is definitely know some Portuguese. This is probably the first country I've been to where I haven't met as many people who speak English. And I'm talking even in the hotels, it's a little harder to find people who speak English. So, because here they just don't have a lot of tourists, they don't have a lot of foreigners coming in, and it's not a tourist economy like other countries I've been to. So they just don't speak a lot of English. It's really hard to find people who speak English here. So I really recommend that you learn like basic Portuguese. Okay, I'm talking like 30 words, just basic words in Portuguese. If you know Spanish or French, it'll give you a little leg up because really Portuguese is just in between Spanish and French and just with a different accent. So it'll really help you, but just try to learn some Portuguese before you get here. I usually don't give that recommendation when I go to other countries. Like other countries, again, it's a lot easier to just go there and find 1 or 2 people who know English, but here it has been a lot harder to find people who know English. So that's my other recommendation. The last one is that know that every region is completely different. They're gonna have different rules, they're gonna have different cultures, different accents too. I learned the Brazilian that I'm learning right now isn't even like Carioca, which is real Portuguese, and then even the people here from like Baja de Tijuca, like they speak they have a different accent than people in like Pavuna. So it's a whole thing. But just know that every region is different. So if y'all have any other questions about relocating to Brazil or even touring Brazil, just comment below and ask them, and then maybe I'll make another video about this. And honestly, I think the key to navigating Rio is to blend in, and really that's the key to traveling, especially traveling solo to any country. So in the next video, I'm gonna go over my main tips for how to blend in here in Brazil, okay? Because it's easy if you do it right. So I love y'all so much. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.